One Piece chapter 1064. I'm pretty sure we knew it was Aokiji on the cover chapters freezing anybody. For anybody that wanted to question whether it was ice or any other kind of power, Aokiji and the other Blackbeard associate, I forgot his name, of course, have Pudding captured. And, the front page, I'm sort of surprised Oda went on to confirm that, hey, we like showing Aokiji, the other Blackbeard subordinate, and Pudding, because for the most part, I'm like, all right, we know it's Aokiji, we know about what happened, but to dedicate a whole page to them just standing firmly right there, hands across, is like Blackbeard pirates are business, they're serious. But going on into the chapter, just how serious, we have Blackbeard continuing his attack on Law, going on using his move Quake Crash against Law. And before I dive into it, it feels a bit weird knowing that somewhere Blackbeard is getting updates about everyone's power-ups, how strong they're getting. There's a quote right here. No one told me his power could do that when Law decides to use Room and then amputate. I forget the pirate's name, but amputating the ugly horse Pegasus. His name's Stronger, right? His name's Stronger? Something like that. Anyhow, Law cutting him in half. Blackbeard, of course, being surprised that he didn't know Law was capable of this. So it goes to show you that Blackbeard, of course, he's calculated. Every step he makes sure there's a high level of success. But there's the random factor that can come into a fight really throws him off. Not to the point where he's completely frustrated and gives up, but something that he heavily relies on. And that I believe is going to be a fault for his fighting tactics as we continue through on the series. Anyhow, he uses Quake Crash. We see the impact, we see the force it has on the ocean around it. But it's just weird. Am I the only one who feels Blackbeard's powers are just slightly inconsistent with the amount of force? Actually, I could separate this in two ways. It's consistent in the fact that there's certain moments where it doesn't destroy everything. I would like to believe, of course, Blackbeard taking full control of his powers because he can't destroy the entire landscape and accidentally kill all his crewmates. As much as he might not have a need for them and is willing to even have them die for the sake of him completing his mission, at the end of the day, Blackbeard without a crew, he isn't becoming a Yonko. Blackbeard without a crew, he's not going to become the Pirate King. So there's a certain level of awareness he needs whenever he's using his powers. And I say that to say the hard pirates that are facing the shockwaves from that move, I'm just like, I believe some of them should be passed out. The fact that some of them are like holding on to the floor, yeah, we got some of them tumbling, falling backwards, but not like passed out or even comatose. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm going to let this marinate for the next week until the new chapter. But yeah, the guy's name, Stronger. Of course, the hard pirates, it's funny, they have bombs that are apples. Apple bombs. Wow, amazing, right? And they use that to escape into the water. And we're having some underwater warfare going on, which is a nice change of pace with this series. We get it. For the most part, hockey, devil fruits. Of course, we have some weaponry shown throughout the series, but underwater combat has been something that we really haven't seen much of. We've seen Law and his crew, of course, swim in their submarine, but to take advantage of the sea, I felt it's a very underrated aspect of the story that hasn't been fleshed out enough to the point where it sort of makes sense. If you're having a vast majority of pirates and marines take advantage of devil fruits and hockey that are, for the most part, land-based attacks and abilities, why not have the strategies, the tactics, and weaponry to use underwater to sort of offset that? But I believe that's what we're seeing right here for the first time. So, of course, we get the impact from the crash wave and Law. And then from there, we get the hard pirates. They're getting a little bit of shine. I feel Oda has been listening to everybody bashing Law's crew to the point of, why does he even have a crew? Why doesn't he stick with the Straw Hats? How dare Law even associate himself with all these fodders? In all seriousness, they're showing a little bit of value. They're showing a little bit of reliability here. Oda emphasizing that, hey, they're not the Straw Hats. Damn, they're not even regular fodder pirates. That might be just a little bit of a threat. But the fact that they even made the statement to emphasize that their specialty with water tactics, being in the water, surviving the cold. What's his name? It's a big mistake to underestimate us when we grew up in the harsh, cold waters of the North Blue. For Oda to emphasize that, he's like, hey, I want y'all to know this is the thing. Fighting underwater, we're going to make this a thing. Hopefully it continues. Now, Jean Bart, the sniper, of course, trying to get Law behind his back. Law has his, not captain mate, teammate. He has an associate protecting his back. We do have a good amount of teamwork and chemistry from Law's crew, showing that even though we all know 99.5% of the firepower of the Heart Pirates are from Law, that other 0.5% is enough to protect him from potentially getting sniped from the back, potentially having everybody die while he's handling the business. Like, hey, we could survive, Law. We could survive. Emphasis on surviving, because I'm not going to hype him up too much. We could survive enough to where Law is able to solo everybody. And to see the confidence, something that I spoke about last chapter from Law, also being very calculated, taking advantage of opportunities to be like, oh, Blackbeard's here? Oh, I'm going to fold him. I'm going to take his poneglyph, fold him, cut him in half. I'm going to become Pirate King, and everyone else is just going to go along with it. Love seeing that in practice instead of just cockiness. And the Shock Willy, the awaken move Law has used against Big Mom, seeing it against Blackbeard, and just how I want to say it's the blood, like the little bits of black coming out of Blackbeard. It's definitely blood coming out to a point where it's just like, oh, we saw what it did against Big Mom. Blackbeard being somebody who does not like getting hurt, does not like taking damage, or even feels damage a lot more due to his Yami Yami no Mi. It's going to be pretty brutal for him. And to even have his associate, who I'm already forgetting his name, it's okay, Gene Bart, to even have Gene Bart commenting, this is what happens when you charged in half cock, goes to show you Blackbeard, as calculated as he is, he's impatient to a certain degree, impatient and overestimates his opponents from what we're seeing so far. Now, one thing that I love, whether it's the Will D, whether it's just Blackbeard just needing to conquer his goal, is he a little bit, he could have those moments where he likes to run away. He doesn't commit all the way. But in this moment right here, damage received. Right now the boats are being attacked. Floating, almost falling off into the ocean. He wants to finish what he started. And he's bleeding in the mouth, but with a smile. Something we love whenever we see people with the D last name, whether it's Law, whether it's Luffy or Blackbeard, they're going to continue fighting. They're going to get a certain enjoyment out of it. And I feel as we get more Blackbeard, from pre-time skip Blackbeard, I wouldn't say he never enjoyed a battle, but I'm really feeling like Blackbeard right now is in it for the fight. Like more than ever, he's really thriving out of getting hit or even doing the attack. Now, I know Rayleigh made him run away. Made him run away with his tail behind his legs. But right now, Blackbeard, this aura we're getting, it reminds me of Luffy to a certain extent, where he's here to stay and he wants to continue going, even if it means his life potentially. Now, Law, of course, sort of making a funny joke like, yo, everybody in your crew got devil fruits. You're all anchors. All right, Law, you're trying to be a funny guy. Law trying to be a funny guy in the middle of battle. And, just sort of sending it off to Blackbeard. Blackbeard doing a double down on his statement of, the devil fruit powers are worth the trade-off. And we're about to see if this is one of the ideals that they're going to be fighting mentally with each other. Like Law be someone who carries his entire crew, him being the only one with a devil fruit, versus Blackbeard, obviously, and his whole entire crew of devil fruit users. Which one will win? This is going to be fun. I don't believe either side's going to win. There's going to be a certain type of stalemate or trade-off. But right now, with Blackbeard's ship being targeted, Law having his associates underneath the water trying to take it down, and Blackbeard just, of course, heavily relying on his devil fruit abilities and the somewhat clean and not clean chemistry between him and his subordinates, it really adds a fun dynamic to the entire battle where it's unpredictable, isn't as cohesive, and is pretty surprising, especially again from the Heart Pirates. From there, we transition back. Oh, actually, I take that back. From there, we see Pudding with her three eyes, where she makes a statement where I want to wait for the official translations, because depending on where you're reading it from, there's the statement that Mama's going to make you eat those words if she's still alive, or the other variation of that Big Mom is dead. She's able to say that she's dead. And then, right now, sort of getting that confirmation, depending on the translations, it's a little too early, depending on which translation. So I want to wait for the official translation to see, all right, through her words, are we going to get that official Big Mom is dead? Because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying that Big Mom and Kaido are dead, even though Oda put them in a volcano and it erupted, destroyed, apocalyptic. I just can't buy they just died in a volcano. I could believe it, but I can't buy it. If y'all understand what I'm saying, I'm just a little bit like, we're gonna see. Sorry, it's getting a little hot in these headphones. And then we get one final clash between Law and Blackbeard, with Blackbeard using Black Vortex. Now, this Black Vortex, that menacing look, seeing the darkness emit from his fingers, Law just a little bit surprised and sort of questioning the way this move is. I can't wait to see how it leads on to the next chapter. And I'm really loving this half and half split Oda has been doing, where it's half Straw Hats, half other events in the world. And I'm all for it. I would love, not the entirety, but for this to be more of a thing. We're seeing less and less updates of, monologue through other people. Like, hey, this happened at this island. This happened recently at this town. It's like, no, instead of just getting reports, talking about it, we're going to see it. And that's something that with One Piece, as much as I love, I don't want to hear about Aokiji and Akainu and the island fighting each other. I want to see it. I don't want to hear about what Law, Blackbeard, and Kobe did. I want to see it. So for now that we're seeing something this important, let's keep it up, Oda. Let's keep it up. Now, this panel right here, this could have been, honestly, we didn't need this. This could have been an update. But of course, the Marines spying. Would I say spying? Yeah, spying on Blackbeard and Law, understanding that right now they have made contact on Winter Island, and Akainu just being frustrated that they really can't do much, which is a bit unfortunate. After the statement Akainu had where he's going to take things into the offensive, and to having another event where he's just sort of on standby, of course, there's only so much he can do. Being the fleet admiral, I don't believe you could just leave whenever. I would like to, next time we see the Marines, I would like the Marines to be more on the offensive, less on the defensive. Yes, we've had 2 Yonkos defeated. Things are going crazy. We need the Marines to step up. If they really want to put these pirates away, we're going to need that foot. We're going to need that firepower. We're going to need them to set that presence they had early on in One Piece. I need to see, I was about to say a Yonko. We need to see an admiral just steamroll somebody. 101, give the beats, even if not steamroll. We need to see that pressure. Because right now, these pirates, they're running laps, Olympic gold medalists, they swimming through, and we just need a little bit more attention. Now, going on to Egghead Island, for whatever reason, Bonnie has aged up Luffy to, God, Luffy looks terrible, turn herself into a kid, Chopper old, and Jembe. I believe this is the official kid Jembe drawing, correct me if I'm wrong, but with still same outfits, so on and so forth. And from there, they just basically confirm what kind of person was Kuma through Bonnie, with Jembe under the impression from the information he's received that Kuma was a tyrant, a terrible king, and sort of Bonnie being like, no, he wasn't a terrible king, and, just giving us more information as far as like, why did things go the way he did? And we've seen this before through a couple things, through the One Piece storyline, where the world government of the Marines, they change the narrative that favors them. They rewrite history. I mean, for crying out loud, the Void Century, for the most part, people, 99.9% of the population have no idea what it even is, or they just only know of it, not even what really happened in there. And I say that to say, of course, with Bonnie explaining more about Kuma, more about the guy he was, and when he was eventually caught by the Navy, his ties to the revolutionaries came to the light, and they gave him a life sentence. Just some official confirmation that's how things went down. Vegapunk taking an interest on him due to his physical prowess, his physical abilities. And then, of course, so he was offered the opportunity to roam the seas again as a warlord. All of that we understood. But, getting that confirmation instead of just sort of headcanon, it feels a lot better. And again, we're at a point of One Piece, less questions, more answers. I'm here for it. Now, Bonnie, she picked up a weapon. What is it? That shoots a laser? I believe so. A laser or a beam saber. There we go. Luffy fangirling over it. Chopper looks like that man looks like he's about to die. You give him some water, he's gonna be a skeleton in a little bit. And then we get a bit of a bombshell here. Bonnie giving more information that Vegapunk is part of a very special race. Now, this is not completely out of this world. but it just gives Vegapunk that extra kick. We already know one of the greatest scientists to find out there's now 6 versions of him with a main vessel, but then to find out the original, potentially, we still don't know how things are going to go from here, but that the original was part of a very special race. Lunarian, something else, we have no idea. Just adds a little bit more mystery, but not too much where we're ever like, oh man, we'll never figure that out. We're going to figure it out this arc, no doubt about it. And to finish that off, if it's Lunarian, this will make sense with the recent Cypherims, the little young pacifistas, and then Chopper being the only one that's sort of like a special race. Am I the only one questioning? Luffy's like, yeah, you go, Bonnie. And then from there, we get the rest of the crew flying off and eventually getting their new uniforms, having a little bit of chitter chatter. And there's nothing in here from these last 2 or 3 chapters where it's like information that needs to be understood. It's the same thing that Luffy and them went through, the introduction to Egghead Island, being captivated by the scenery. Of course, outfit changes, which Sanji looks not too goofy, but the Hawaiian shirt with his Yeezys, with his boots, looks a little bit off. Frankie looks like a toy. Usopp is straight. We got the jacket, regular boots. Now Nami and Robin, they're looking nice. Right there. Sanji's even going crazy over that. I'm here for you, Sanjay. I mean, I'm here with you. Robin right now, especially Robin, they said we don't, actually Nami, I'm fangirling at the moment. Looking amazing. Now, the last bit, aside from the Law and Blackbeard, this is getting things spicy. Vegapunk is speaking to somebody. They're speaking to somebody, and he's giving this monologue of that he could see his own future coming, and he believes in his future that he's going to be dying soon. And then we just see a little box saying, "Hey, don't joke around about something like that. As far as that seeing your own future, we don't need to hear that right now." And then Vegapunk to say, I just wanted you to know. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. What? We can't share our feelings. Listen, I think it's important for the men in this One Piece world because there seems to be an extreme lack of mothers. It's okay to talk one another, be therapeutic with each other, share your emotions. To finally end it off, he says dragon. And that right there changed everything. When I first read that bubble right there saying dragon, I got goosebumps. I'm like, okay, this is, how are these two connected? The chapter says it. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it because it's just like, all right, Dr. Vegapunk working for the government, but having ties with Dragon from the Revolutionary Army. And then things go full circle with Dragon fully understanding, with Dragon not understanding everything about Kuma, but Kuma being a revolutionary, no, it's just like, all right, what kind of, how deep is this relationship? How deep are the roots? How much information and involvement these two have together? Is it sort of a, we just chop it up? Do you give me some equipment? I give you information. This is mind-blowing. We were definitely going to get a large, but not just a large amount of it. We're going to get information specified to the Lunarians. I could bet that much. As these are going to be my theories for the chapters as we go on through this arc. More information as far as the amount of races in the One Piece world, races that are outside on the moons, Lunarians, DNA, more into the devil fruits, where they come from, how they're created. And for Luffy, I believe everyone to really understand devil fruits more and how this is all going to lead on. And this is just based off the main Vegapunk. We're going to see how the other 6, what kinds of information they're able to teach each other, pass through, and how these bits of information, how we're going to start connecting everything bit by bit until we truly understand more of the One Piece world, more of its powers, mechanics, and I'm excited. One Piece chapter 1064, as far as pure adrenaline and hype, it was all right. Just starting off with Law and Blackbeard was extremely exciting, but we had a bit of a cool down. Things, for the most part, I wouldn't even say was filled with a lot of information that was new, but rather it was sort of confirming things we might have already had based off of theories and introducing new relationships between 2 pivotal characters in the series, Dragon and Dr. Vegapunk. Can't wait for the next week. Let me know your thoughts on it. Now from here,